Hi, I'm Troy.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Cyrus, and this is my little sister Salo.
And we are the
Lucht
family. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your time to learn a little bit more about our family and the direction that God is leading us. Why adoption? Before we were married, we did a book called Before You Say I Do. And one of the questions were children. And both Amber and I kind of agreed that our plan was to have two biological and adopt a child. That sounded good to us, and that's kind of what we talked about. And we believe God planted that seed at that point deep down in our hearts. And over the course of the next few years, we realized God's plan for our family was adoption.
So, in the summer of 2008, we started to pursue the adoption of our first child, Silas, and we got a referral for him in February of 2009, and then we brought him home from Ethiopia in June of 2009. And once we went to Ethiopia, we fell in love with the country and the people, and we just knew that God was calling us back right away. And so our agency required us to wait 9 months, and so as soon as we could, we got back on the list in March of 2010. We started the process for our daughter Sailor, and there have been a lot of changes with the country, and as far as just the country got more popular to adopt from, and a lot of changes in place, and so that one took a lot longer, and it ended up being about 2.5 years total, and she came home in September of 2012.
Which was about 1.5 years ago, or just a little bit over 1.5 years ago. So she's been home 1.5 years, and Silas has been home, goodness, almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years this summer. So in the fall of 2013, actually let me back up, over the spring of 2013, we hosted some children with a children's orphan choir, and there's a boy that stayed with us. And we've done this in the past. It wasn't anything new to us as far as hosting children. We love children in general, and these children were from Ethiopia as well. So we have God's opened our hearts up big to Ethiopia, but there was just something different. God kept laying him on Amber's heart. We would go to church, and she couldn't get him off her mind. Moved emotionally to tears thinking about him, and so we chose to talk to the agency that he was with, and decided to go down the path of pursuing him, because there's multiple signs that God was clearly calling us to walk down this path, knowing that we may not be his family, that we could end up not being chosen as his family from the agency. And we worked hard on all our paperwork, getting that done in record time for us. And I was able to go to Ethiopia on a mission trip in November of 2013, and was able to see him in the orphanage that he was in, and it was an incredible experience to be able to do that, knowing that we were pursuing him. Felt like God was potentially calling us to be his family. I got back from Ethiopia. We finished up what we needed to for paperwork, and the week before Christmas, we were informed that the adoption agency did choose another family for this boy, and so we took a step back at that point to pray through where God was leading us, grieve through this, since we believe God had called us on this path, and took that step back to refocus on where God had us.
And just prior to pursuing this boy, when Troy and I were thinking about our third adoption, we had thought that God may be calling us to a sibling set for our third adoption. But, then we got veered down this other path, and we had started, and that kind of didn't go through. But then in early January, a mutual friend of ours had posted a sibling set that still needed a family, and it was still early on, and we were still praying and kind of grieving the loss of the other adoption. But I just decided that I was going to start praying for this sibling set and praying that God would find them the perfect family. And so as I prayed later on, or actually early February, the same friend reposted their pictures, new pictures of these children, and saying that they still didn't have a family. And so at that point, I decided to talk with Troy and ask him if he would just consider praying for them and just consider praying that we may be the family for these children. And he agreed to do that. And so we continue to pray and ask lots of questions, and from both our social worker and the agency. And Troy was actually the one that reached out to the agency. And after about a month of asking lots of questions and praying, we finally decided that these were the children that God meant to be in our family. And in early March, we said yes.
Yep.
And we are excited.
We are. Our boy is 10, and our little girl is 4. We can't quite show you their picture yet, but you should be able to see on the screen a picture with their faces covered. We can't legally show their picture yet, but believe me, they are pretty stinking adorable.
I would have to agree.
With this adoption, it's going a little bit different, as adoptions always do. But because our children are waiting, all the fees and expenses that we were able to do with Silas and Sailor, between contracts and turning in our paperwork and getting their referral, all those fees are due quickly in one lump sum. And so we're looking at about $33,000 that's due shortly. We have some in savings for that, and that's part of the reasons why we're stepping out and looking at other options as far as being able to help bring our children home. We are using pure charity as a way to do that, allow our family and friends in the adoption community to rally around us and be able to help us in bringing our children home. And so we are excited about that, and we are also doing a puzzle fundraiser. And what we're doing there is that we have a puzzle that we had made of our family, including our children in Ethiopia, and we are being able to ask families to donate $15, and once that happens, we write that family's name on the back of the puzzle. And what that allows our children who are coming home from Ethiopia to do is to see the village that helped bring them home. You would be a piece of the puzzle in helping bringing them home. And so our goal is to allow them to see the dozens and dozens and hundreds of names that allowed them to come home to our family. So that's the reason that we're doing the Pure Charity site, is to help us in that way. It's tax deductible. The funds that all get donated will go straight to our adoption agency, and so it's kind of a win-win situation for all of us. So thank you very much for, again, taking the time to watch this, hear a little bit about our family, and be able to help us in this endeavor. The 3 things that we always talk about are pray, give, go. There's always something any of us can do, and praying for our family and for the orphans around the world is so necessary. Giving, there's so many ways to give. One way is to help our family. Sponsorship and all that there's hundreds of ways to do that. And going, by adopting, on a mission trip, caring for the kids, helping families or people go on mission trips. There's a lot of different ways. So thank you so much again for being part of this, and we can't wait to show you their pictures of us all together as a family of 6. It's crazy, but it's great. Thank you so much.